Welcome to season 2024 of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corey and Padgett. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corey and Padgett, and today I have the esteemed pleasure to have with me Dr. Gabrielle Alexander and Dr. Jasmine Padgett. I mentioned that you all were doctors. What kind of doctors are you all?
I'm an OBGYN.
Okay. And you are Dr. Padgett?
So I do internal medicine and pediatrics.
Okay, cool. So you were medical physicians, medical doctors. Awesome. So one thing I wanted to mention before this interview got started, that it took me a while to get you all on this podcast. So I thank you all for finally being able to sit down with me. It's been about 4 years. I've been chasing you all. I finally got the monkey off my back, as they say.
Yeah.
Got the big one. Red Fox style, right? So let's just talk about start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Any particular reason why you wanted to be a physician? Either one of you.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of doctors become doctors truly because they want to help people. I knew I wanted to work in the medical field. I used to hang out with my aunt a lot. She was a nurse, so I traveled with her to different small towns in Mississippi, and I always liked, healthcare and taking care of people. So my aunt was one of my biggest inspirations to, be in the healthcare field in general. At one point I said, well, I want to be a nurse. I really wanted to be a nurse because it was short. I was like, I want to get married and have kids and be in my career. If I become a nurse, it takes like 4 years. And then my oldest brother, Rick, he was like, well, figure out what you want to do. Do you want to become a nurse? Do you want to be a pharmacist? Do you want to be a doctor? He said, don't make your decision based on what's going to be the shortest amount of time. He said, you're going to get old regardless, so do what you want to do and shoot for the stars.
Dr. Padgett?
Yeah, mine is very similar to that too. So when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't see a lot of doctors that looked like me, but initially I was going to do nursing too. So when I was in undergrad, my first semester, I was undecided, or whatever they call it when you're in your first semester, and I knew I wanted to do something in the medical field. So I did biology, a lot of biology classes, but I was an undecided major. And I figured I'd be a nurse. And my dad was the one that actually said, well, if you're going to be a nurse, you probably want to be like a registered nurse or a nurse practitioner. And he said, you'd have to go to 4 years of school anyways after,
After your undergrad.
Right. So, and so he was like, if you want to be a doctor, you should look into that. So I started shadowing physicians, and I was like, okay, I could do this. And so, but what they don't tell you about is the residency afterward, it's additional years. But that's okay. Like Gabrielle said, you don't pick something based off the shortest amount of time. You pick it based off what you're really interested in, because regardless of whatever you decide to do, the difference in the time lapse is where you are afterwards. So whether you spend those 10 years, when people talk about how long med school is, working at McDonald's, which nothing against McDonald's working, versus going to undergrad, going to med school, going to residency, the difference is, are you closer to your overall life goal at that amount of time.
Okay, perfect. Oh man, I rock with that, ladies. So my next question is, you went to Alabama A&M, and you went to Ole Miss. Ole Miss. My bad.
Wait a minute. That's gonna be another 4 years for you getting on this podcast. Talking about my school.
I wouldn't be surprised. So, why did y'all choose the two schools y'all chose?
Okay. For me, mine was easy. Well, it wasn't a bad decision. I
Was it?
No. What I meant was it was an easy decision because I played tennis. We traveled a lot playing junior tennis, and we had a full ride scholarship, and it was to Alabama A&M, which is a HBCU, a historically black college. And we visited school. We really liked it. It gave me an opportunity to grow. Sometimes when you're on other schools, you may not have a chance to play, even though you're on the team, and we wanted that. Me and my sister both went on full scholarship, so that's why I chose A&M.
Okay, just for the record, I did beat her in a tennis match. And for those that do not know, this is my wife. This is my wife. So
that has
all the jokes.
Biggest asterisk by that win. So what happened is I was up 3-0, 4-0, and I had a hair appointment, and so I had to leave. So
it doesn't matter. I won. Our record against each other is 1-1. But anyway, Dr. Alexander, what is your reason for going to Ole Miss?
when I was in high school, I got a scholarship, and my scholarship pretty much gave me different school options to go to. So the schools that I can choose from were Ole Miss, Mississippi State, MC, Millsaps, and I want to say Southern Miss as well. I'm from Yazoo City, so the schools in Jackson, Mississippi were a little bit close to home. You know how it is when you're in high school. You want to get up and kind of get out and go away from your parents. So I wanted to go kind of far away, but not too far from home. So those options would have been either Southern Miss or Mississippi or Ole Miss. But I chose Ole Miss out of those two just because I knew I wanted to work in the healthcare field. And Ole Miss had ties to the University of Mississippi, which, you know, that's where we went to medical school. Right. It also had ties to pharmacy school and things like that. So I felt like me going to Ole Miss would put me in a better position, when I needed to go to the next step in my life.
Okay. All right. So it is the year 2024. I don't know if y'all two know this, but I thought about this earlier. Y'all met in 2014 at the, what was the name of this little camp?
Not Summer Bridge. But it was, whatever it was a bridge between undergrad and medical school.
It was like a
pre-matriculation program.
Pre-matriculation.
Yeah.
Look at that. Pre-mat. That's exactly what it was. So did y'all realize that it's been 10 years, almost to the date that y'all met each other?
I think I roughly knew that. We had something on Facebook pop up.
I know because we're supposed to be planning a 10-year trip right now.
Oh, okay.
Chi-Chi keeps reminding us about. Chi-Chi got a friend.
She'll be on here.
She's going to be on here too?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do it. We'll set it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, she keeps reminding us, and we're supposed to be planning a trip for our 10-year. We need to have a big trip this year, but nobody is making any plans or anything like that. So, so I didn't know.
Okay. All right. hey, I just wanted to know what's out there.
I was about to say, it's funny. We've been doing trips all these years, but it's going to be a bigger trip.
Yeah, this has to be a big trip. Like 10 years is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Whoa, time out. Y'all trying to do it this year?
Yes.
Y'all know y'all only got 6 months left, right?
I mean, that's not too
That is quick.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, just throwing that out there. So I know she graduated undergrad 2012. When did you graduate?
No, she didn't.
Yeah, I did.
2012?
2012, December 2012.
Okay, then. I graduated in 2014.
Okay, yeah. Cool. So you went straight, literally, from May to boom, you were straight in. Oh, that's dope. That's really dope.
I don't know if that's dope or not. That's something that I talk about a lot of times with people because they would ask me, how did you become a doctor so young? I didn't take any breaks pretty much between finishing high school and finishing residency. So you went to high school. I did a summer matriculation program before I went to Ole Miss. After Ole Miss, I did a summer program before I went to med school. Then after med school, you go straight to residency. So it was just like going. What is that, 12 years straight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm taking breaks.
So is that uncommon?
I don't know. I feel like it's not that uncommon, but people might not do the summer programs in between. Right. But people do go consecutive years. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's a good mix. But of course, we have some classmates that had career changes and stuff like that. Oh yeah, so, I don't know. I feel like it's a good mix.
Okay.
Of people that go straight through, people that take breaks and career changes.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Jasmine, just chat me up a bit about your break in between undergrad and med school. Like, what were you doing in that meantime?
Studying to get to med school. I mean, that's the short of it. But also during that time, so my parents have their own home care business. So I was also working there in the office, played a lot of tennis, joined a lot of tennis teams, did stuff like that, and then just studying to get into med school. Okay.
And while we're talking about getting into med school, two different paths, not totally different, but what are the requirements to get into med school? Just like base level. I don't need to know the exact MCAT score or anything like that.
Oh, good, because it's changed. I don't know the exact MCAT score.
You know how long ago it's been since we got into med school?
Yeah, 10 years.
I
just said that.
The skeleton.
Yeah, go ahead.
So undergrad, usually there's required courses that you have to take. I don't remember all of them. Some biology, some chemistry, organic chemistry. Mm-hmm. The next big thing is taking the MCAT test. That's pretty much. To get into med school, yeah.
That's pretty much it. And a lot of times people think you have to major in biology or chemistry or whatever. You really don't. You can major in art. You can major in whatever your heart desires as long as you get those required courses.
Because one of your friends majored in English. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. So talk to me about med school. What was that like, and why did y'all choose UMC?
I chose UMC for proximity, and also we had just started dating. We had been dating for a few months at that time, but it was
About a
closest to home. It was closest to home for us, for me. I can say for UMC.
UMC, close to home too. And at that time, you know, like I said, when I graduated from high school, I wanted to go far away from home. Going into med school, I did want to go more close to home. And there were also some good scholarship opportunities at University of Mississippi. And again, some connections between going to Ole Miss for undergrad. So I got a chance to know some people and things like that. So it seemed like the best choice for me at the time.
All right.
No regret, still is.
All right. Well, Jasmine, I'm just throwing this out there that South Alabama has a medical school, right? Do they have a medical school?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. Biloxi is a lot closer to Mobile than it is
well,
to Jackson.
The other advantage, there's another in-state. So when you in-state, the tuition's not as high for most people. So that's another reason I chose this. It wasn't all about Corian.
Clearly.
No, but and then you had your second question was, what was med school like?
Yeah.
If I only had one word to choose, I'd say hard. But I mean, it's just one of those things.
So what was the hardest part about med school?
Ooh, there's a lot that's hard about med school, but
I think this is the perfect example, and somebody told us this before we went to medical school. I think somebody said this in the pre-matriculation program. It's like going to a fire hydrant that the firefighters use and trying to drink water from a fire hydrant. It's true.
It's just
like
a lot
that.
of information.
It's a lot. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of studying, and a lot of sacrifices too. I feel like not only med school, but med school, residency, and even to an extent undergrad, it takes you away from family, friends, and things like that because you truly have to be disciplined in the study to make it through.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I feel like it also changes too. Like, the first 2 years, it's books, learn as much as you can. And then the next 2 years, you're doing your clinicals and your rotations. And even during that, I remember when I told my family I couldn't come home for either Thanksgiving or Christmas because we were on a inpatient service and we were on call. And they had a hard time believing that. I was like, no, I'm going to be in the hospital. I'm going to be working, even though I'm not getting paid. Yeah. So a lot of sacrifice.
Every year comes with different challenges too, like you said.
Right. So, what was the hardest year in med school for you, Gabby, or Dr. Alexander?
I would say maybe first year.
Okay.
Just the transition, undergrad was moderately difficult. But when you go to medical school, it's just a different level of information you're expected to learn and retain. So I think first year.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was surprised. I knew immediately when you asked the question. I was like, first year without a doubt. I remember we went through some class. Was it biochem? And I think we got through 2 or 3 chapters that day. And I was like, what is going? I was so stressed. I was like, my brain.
Yeah. It's a lot at one time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Now, if you ask me about the hardest course in undergrad, that one I know without a doubt, organic chemistry.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. I'm like
that was that one right there.
What made that so hard?
For me, it was because you have to see things in 3D almost, see those molecules, and my brain just didn't work like that.
And we usually see them on a flat surface.
Yeah, when I look at it on the paper, my brain didn't process it how it was supposed to be processed to really learn and understand, and it was very different.
Okay. All right.
But we made it through by the grace of God.
If it wasn't for His grace, what you say? Okay, all right, I'm right there with you. So, I wanted to. You went straight out of high school, graduated 2010, Yazoo City. Okay, so 2010, went to Ole Miss. 4 years later, boom, you going straight to medical school. I just want to, shout it out. Not talking bad about my wife or anything, but just talking about myself because I know I had a buddy, or even now I had a former athlete of mine. He went 4 years out of college and graduated, and I was like, bro, that takes a lot of discipline and self-sacrifice and family sacrifice too. So big ups to you, Gab, and still big ups to you, Jasmine, because you had a tough road to go through too. So,
but You go ahead?
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say, mine was definitely more zigzag, but like right after high school, we did a year of professional tennis, like on the lower circuit. When people think professional tennis, they think like Wimbledon and all the Grand Slams, but there's a lower circuit, and we tried that for a year. That did not work out for me, obviously. And then I went to undergrad, so there was a hold up there, and then trying to get ready to make a score that was good enough to get into med school was the other end. So my road was definitely, more topsy turvy.
So it took a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was just gonna say I mean, of course, there are sacrifices. I could have gone on some trips and had some fun during the summertime, but I really don't regret it. I don't regret doing that program during the transition from high school to undergrad, because some of the people that I met in that program, I'm still friends with today. And when you go from small town, Yazoo City, Mississippi, and I'm not gonna lie, like our high school and the level of education that we received, you know how a Mississippi education is.
Right,
it was subpar. So I was able to go kind of get a leg up to, get an idea of what it's going to be like to take, maybe two courses over the summer before the actual semester start. And again, I think some of those friendships that I developed, they're going to be lifelong friendships. And then same thing for going to med school. I met some friends that I'm still friends with today, 10 years later. And it helped with that transition. What did we take? Gross anatomy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we started doing some gross anatomy stuff, and so it was
all
good
day
to do
in the
that.
lab. All
yeah,
day.
and I feel like it gave us a leg up when the school year actually started for the first year of med school. So I don't regret it at all.
I understand. That's what's up. That's what's up. So Jasmine, I want to talk to you about that gap year you took playing professional tennis.
Yeah.
Considering that you were a professional tennis player, how does it feel to lose to somebody that was a subpar athlete in general?
You talk about yourself?
Yeah, obviously. Somebody said, yeah. It didn't really feel like a loss. It's like when you're beating somebody 3-4-0 and then you have to leave. It doesn't really feel like you lost. It feels like you kind of just
had to go.
Yeah, just had to go.
Yeah, and you just had to go and you had to take that L. But
yeah.
Anyway, did you play anybody big in that level, or anybody that ended up coming big, or?
Oh, that's a good. I don't remember. It's all a blur. I don't remember specific people names that I played. I can't think of anybody.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So at the start, you said you're an OBGYN, and you said you're internal medicine and pediatrician.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, good job.
Why did y'all choose those particular career paths?
Oh.
For me, OBGYN is one of those fields, either you hate it or you love it. Whenever you, third and fourth year of medical school, third year is really when you start going around looking into, like, working in different areas. So you might do med-peds, you do family medicine, you do OBGYN. That's where you really get the opportunity to see what you want to do. I didn't know going in, but again, OBGYN, you either hate it or you love it. Very first day, they threw me into a delivery. I had never even seen a delivery before. They threw me in for me to go deliver the baby.
And this was during your year 3?
Yes.
Of med school?
3, yes. And
so what all did you have to do?
You go in, get clean, get scrubbed, put on all the gowns. Like
you delivered the baby?
Yes.
Now, as a third year medical student?
Yes.
Who all was there?
So you ask the patient for consent or permission, which most of the time patients know, like they're the learning institution.
At UMC, right.
And students. And so patient was okay with it. You go in, you get scrubbed. And the resident that was there, she didn't just let me go in and just deliver the baby by myself. So we basically scrubbed in together, and she talked me through it at that time. She put her hand on top of my hands, and we delivered the baby together. So very exciting, but it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
you going in life. It's very exciting, very thrilling. And if you don't pass out and get freaked out by it, then I guess you need to do it, because you literally either hate OBGYN or you love it.
Okay.
I concur. Hated it. First delivery I saw was it was a C-section, and so we go in, and of course, you cut blood. I was helping to suction, like, the smoke. They use the machine, kind of help them cut and make clean lines and stuff. And I was like, this is just childbirth is a very beautiful experience, but it's not always. It's just I was like, oh my gosh. I said I never want to have a C-section or have anybody cut on me. Next delivery I saw was a vaginal delivery, and it was there were some like expected complications, like, you know, I guess sometimes somebody bleeds and you have to like suture. I was like, I never want to have vaginal delivery. I was like, this is not.
You don't want to have a C-section. You don't want to have vaginal delivery.
Right. I was stuck. I was like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna have to. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Maybe. But anyway, no. But seriously, I didn't like either one, and I knew I was not gonna do OBGYN, and then of course other specialties too that I wasn't really interested in. But when it came to med peds, the reason I chose that is the first rotation I did was pediatrics. I'm pretty sure that was the first one I did was, and I really loved working with kids. Some people don't like the parent-child dynamic aspect. I loved it. I'm like, this is a great way to educate the child and the parent at the same time. I did that. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a pediatrician. Then I did internal medicine. The whole first month that I did it, I had a headache every single day. I was like, there's so many criteria for like everything. But then I really started to enjoy it. You really feel like a detective, you know, when somebody comes in and they're short of breath or, you know, they have leg swelling, you have to rationalize, okay, what could be going on? What's most likely? What's least likely? How would I work this up? And I really enjoyed it. And I was like, well, dang, I don't know how I'm going to choose. And then that's when I found out about med peds. I was like, okay, so you can do both. And instead of doing 3 years of each one, you can combine those into a residency that's 4 years. So that's why I chose.
And this was your year 3 also?
Yeah,
Okay.
year 3.
Okay. And that, I just want to go back to your year 3. Was that your first rotation or?
I don't think it was my first rotation. I know I did surgery before that, and oh my God, that was a hot mess.
And that's her. I remember her surgery rotation. And,
yeah, that was a hard rotation.
Yeah.
And the people were mean.
Yes.
And then we had a perception that all surgeons are mean.
You're right.
And then one of the fields of surgery that I rotated in, because you did general, so there's different types of surgeons. There's general surgeons, but one of my rotations was cardiothoracic surgery.
Oh my God.
Amazing stuff to see, but it was a lot. It was a lot going on.
How so?
Well, there was a situation that happened with one of the residents that was on the rotation. But I can't speak too much on that.
All right, that's fine.
I can't speak too much on that. I can tell you at a later time.
Yes, ma'am.
Fill you in.
That's gonna be on the Patreon, y'all. No.
Hey, look, I better get some of that profit.
Hey,
then.
you definitely will.
Okay.
You definitely will. Oh man. So, did you know going into med school, because you said you either hate it or love it with being an OBGYN? Did you know that you wanted to be that, or did you have to?
I had no idea. Going back to Yazoo City, I didn't even know any doctors growing up at all.
Right.
I didn't really do a lot of shadowing of physicians because I didn't know physicians to shadow. So I had no idea.
Okay. And then you just, that particular rotation, you said, wow, this is it?
Yeah, and I feel like in medical school, sometimes people go in knowing what they want to do, but I think a lot of people probably don't have a clue, and you really have to go in and do those rotations or do shadowing at that time, which is easier to shadow at that point,
Right?
Because you kind of know people, you have your foot in the door to really see what a day in the life is like.
Okay.
So.
What about? I mean, you just said yours, how you went.
Yeah, I don't think before I got to med school I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Before I entered, I shadowed a pediatrician, but it was only outpatient setting, and then a family medicine physician. But for pediatrics, my experience, since it was only outpatient, when I did it inpatient, I was like, oh, this is different. It's pretty cool. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So after year 3, we go into year 4, and what's the difference between year 3 and 4?
I think 4. You talking about med school?
Yes.
Yeah. It's more laxed to an extent. I mean, you've got like step 3. I think is year 4, but you already know what you want to do, so more of your energy is focused toward that, and your schedule is also more lax. You have less required courses, and every university may be different, but at UMC there's more electives. So you're doing stuff that you enjoy. So I think year 4 was the easiest.
Oh, year 4 was without a doubt the best year. And just like what she said, at that point, you figure out doing 3rd year or 2nd year what you want to do. So your elective courses are geared towards that. So if I want to do OBGYN, like I have mostly OBGYN rotations and some other things. If she wants to do med peds, then she does internal medicine and pediatric rotation. So it was one of the most enjoyable and yeah,
And you know more too, so that helps too. When you're around, you're like, okay, I've already heard these questions before. I know where they're going with this,
Exactly.
and the focus is not on you either when you're a fourth year.
Right.
So it was nice.
Okay. All right. So also during fourth year, y'all had that match.
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
How the match goes?
Yes.
So
Interesting times.
so what do you do? So you do a lot of interviews. I like that. I like, drove around different places, got to see different hospitals and universities, kind of see how they do their setup. And then you start choosing places that you want to go. And then you rank them. So you put them on some, I forget what it's called, probably Match.com. No, that's not right. Not Match.com. Something, I forget the name of it. But, you go to these different, so I kept,
So
I'm very organized.
Yeah.
And wrote them out and wrote what I liked about each one and which ones I was like, okay, I'm for sure not going here for whatever reason, too far or didn't like the energy. And then you put them in, and then the places that you interviewed out at also rank you, and it's supposed to be geared toward the
student more than
in terms of who gets to get matched. Right. So if you chose a place high on your list and they chose you high on your list, then you're more likely to match. Like people call it getting their first choice.
Gotcha.
That sound about right? That's what I remember from it. It feels like it's so long ago.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. That sounds about right. It is what it is. I don't really like the system because I know that everybody can't go to every place, and they have to have some kind of system to, evenly disperse everybody that needs a spot to go for residency. But sometimes I feel like, you go to school for, we're 8 years in now, you spent $200,000 on your education, and now when it's time for you to train, you can't truly choose fully where you want to go.
Right.
Because you have to pick them, and they have to pick you.
Right.
So I don't know.
I think they changed it up a little bit, like a year or two before I graduated. There's something they did different with the rank list, but I don't remember what it was. I have to look into it.
I don't know what they did with it either. But one of the worst parts is, you can do this, go to school for 8 years, pay all of this money, and you cannot match.
Yeah,
right.
that's
and
right.
so that's a big thing. And if you don't match during that match year, you have to wait a full year,
which is crazy,
before you can apply again.
Well, isn't there like a scramble period in between?
There
is.
That's called a scramble. Yeah,
but not everybody that didn't match, and like you can not match, do the scramble and still not get in.
Right.
And so then you sit a full year, but you can't just sit a full year and be idle and do nothing.
Yep.
So what are you doing in that year?
Most people do research or
Okay.
something like that. I don't think can you work?
You can work. You can do it. You're
like
not
in
required
the medical
to do.
field work. Of course, you can work somewhere else, but like
you
can't
can.
practice as a doctor?
No, you're right. So you can't practice as a medical doctor. You could.
That's crazy though, because
I
you are
think
a
you
medical
could.
doctor,
No,
right?
yeah. So there's a few things. Hold on, let's unpack. So you can work in, like, for example, I know some people who didn't match their first year, and they worked like in our not necessarily in the lab. I don't know what they did. They helped them like set up our medicine simulation, right? And they got paid to do that. So you could say I was still. You want to do something somewhat geared toward the medical field, because they're going to ask you when you match again in the next year, well, what did you do like during that time? Because they want to know that I was
You've
still
been
passionate,
busy,
right?
you've been working,
Yeah. So
it's an interesting system.
Yeah.
I still say that because isn't that crazy?
No, it is. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, all I can say, it is crazy. It is.
it's stressful.
Peculiar
Yeah,
and stressful.
it is.
And stressful.
But I mean, like I said, I get why they want to do it, because say everybody might want to go to Harvard to do their residency training.
Or everybody, want to go to California or
Right.
Florida, all the
So-
pretty places. But yeah, I understand it. But
It's interesting.
wow, that is very. I mean, isn't that kind of on the person also to kind of like not just choose the pretty locations, right? Just you gotta go. I don't want to bash on Wyoming. I don't know anybody from Wyoming, but I mean, neither of y'all went to interview in Wyoming, right?
No. I mean, me personally, I knew I wanted to stay in the southeast area.
Okay.
I feel like that can be tricky though, because it's if you want to pick places that you enjoy. Pick whatever place you are passionate about, wanting to do your residency. You can put that at the top of your list. It gets hard if you rank a school as a safety net lower on your rank list, and they put you higher. But then anybody else who put that school
higher will match first.
So even if you set up your safety net, depending on how the algorithm works, if you put them too low, you may not match because the other people who put them a little higher will match. So
this algorithm that I'm still skeptical about,
Yeah,
because that's what they say, but
Did you get your first match?
I did.
Okay. Did you
I
okay.
did.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm just saying because I hear what you're saying. Like, you know, how many schools could you put on your rank list?
Was
Was
it
it
10?
10? I think it's
Oh wow.
10.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
It sounds like a lot, but
so where would you put your safety net if you had to choose a safety net? Where would you have put it?
You mean what number did I start? Yeah, I was
Four or
say I think
Yeah.
yeah
I
maybe
feel like
around
you should
5.
pick
Yeah.
a true top 3.
Yeah.
And then start doing 4 or 5, because you don't want, like she said, you don't want to put it too low, and
Right.
then you miss your opportunity because somebody else put it higher.
Right. Okay. All right. That makes sense to me. So talked about residency. No, we didn't talk about residency. We talked about getting into residency. So chat me up about your residency. What was it like?
It was a great experience. One.
Wow, are you the only person in the United States that's ever said
No,
that?
wait. Okay,
Oh
wait.
my God.
So there's residency within itself is hard, yes.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons you need to pick a place that you enjoy the people. So I like UMC because I knew I did my my medical school at UMC. So I knew a lot of the residents, and the reason I chose the med peds at UMC is because the residents I worked with. Yeah, I was like, I really like these people. They're very easy to talk to. They're passionate about it. Like everybody, a med peds person stood out a mile away. It was like, internal medicine, you're more serious, and the people who were in peds were kind of more lighthearted, and then med peds is somewhere in the middle, and they always stood out. And I was like, I want that. I want to be.
Now, is that how you see yourself?
Yes, of course. No, I'm just kidding. But it's you want to be around that type of energy. You want something. Residency is going to be hard no matter what you choose, just from the natural progression of responsibility in your field. So you gotta pick somewhere that you love. So even though mine was hard, and because residency is hard, you got 24-hour shifts and all this, run into electives and stuff that you don't really are passionate about. If you're around passionate people, it helps. It makes it better.
I understand that truly. Talk to me about yours.
Yeah, I feel like hers is tougher because but you love
I don't
OBGYN.
know.
Like if I had to do surgery, I would.
Listen, I might have a tad bit of PTSD from residency.
Okay.
Residency is hard. OBGYN residency is 4 years. The duration of residency varies depending on what field you choose. But so OBGYN is 4 years, and we learn some clinical things and some surgery things because we are doing mostly clinic and some surgeries as well. But I think residency was hard because it is a lot of long hours, a lot of high stress, and quite frankly, it's a lot of women and a lot of hormones. You know how we act when we are stressed and tired. So
I did not say that.
but truly though. So we worked, Monday through Friday, and you might be on a clinic rotation, you might be on a surgical rotation. It kind of varies, but we all had weekend call shifts. And so call shifts would be at least 2 weekends of the month. Sometimes it would be 3 weekends out of the month. And pretty much if you're on call for the weekend is out.
Right.
So you might work your shift from 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. And then you're on call from 5:30 p.m. until, I want to say we had shift change at 8 the next day. And so you either do a Friday, Sunday. So if you do Friday, Sunday, you sleep all day Saturday.
Right.
And the other option was that you do a 24-hour shift on Saturday. And sometimes 24 hours lead to 25 or 26,
I've experienced the,
So if you do a Saturday shift, you pretty much sleep on Friday and probably Sunday after 24-hour shift.
Right.
But you learn a lot. And again, it's a lot of information to learn within 4 years.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was interesting times. I'm glad to be done with it though, for sure.
For sure. Now, would you say residency is almost like an extended period of your OBGYN rotation or your particular rotation with internal medicine or pediatrics?
To a degree. You mean from a medical student and then when you get into
residency? I
wouldn't say it's totally like it because the responsibility is different. So as a med student, your primary job is presenting well. I need to present well and know the information. When you're a resident, you're not focused on presenting. You're like, did I make sure I replaced this person's electrolytes? Did I make sure to go through their home list and did they get their antibiotics? What happened at sign-ups? You know, it's just for me, it was a different dynamic, and the responsibility was heavier. It got, you know, progressively heavier each year. So.
I agree with that. And then as a medical student, on your OBGYN rotation, you mostly look, even though I got lucky and the first day I got a chance to be involved in a delivery hands-on. But, well, I'll say OB, they let you do a lot of stuff on your OB rotation as a medical student, but not really surgery things. So when you are a resident, you're doing the surgeries yourself, because once you finish residency, you're going to be doing the surgeries yourself. So that was one of the biggest things that was different.
Which I did not know that. I did not realize y'all did it by yourself. When my OBGYN delivered me and she walked in the room, I was like, where's her helper team? I did not know. It was Dr. Hardeman. She did a great job. She was getting there. I was like, look at her go. I had a C-section.
She wasn't looking.
No, well, I mean, but I was. It was just her, right? She had a tech.
I mean, she had the dude with her, the anesthesiologist and the tech. But
right, the anesthesiologist doesn't count.
No,
I mean, they
he was up there by me.
Right, I know. So I was like, it's a big deal. You do it by yourself, yeah.
And then clinic responsibilities are different as a resident. As a medical student, you might go see a patient and present the information and kind of come up with the plan. So you're working on learning the basics and getting that down. Sometimes you get a chance to do an exam if the patient is okay with you doing an exam as a medical student. And then again, as a resident, you're almost like the primary physician, but you have a supervising physician who you report to and who comes to supervise you for the exams and make sure you're doing everything correctly. But you pretty much do all of the exams and things like that. And you make the decisions, but again, under the supervision of someone else to make sure you're doing everything correctly.
Gotcha. So there's one... You had a baby, right? In 2017. So that would have been what year of med school for you?
Going into fourth year.
Okay. So talk to me about. So you got pregnant towards the middle end of your year 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then
I guess. Well, more like beginning to middle because. No, wait a minute. I was pregnant during year 3,
right.
And I had her right at the beginning of year 4. Because when do you take step 3? Step 2.
Step 2
is before fourth year, right? Or at the beginning of fourth year.
I want to say somewhere in
like
September.
3 is like
year. Step 3 is residency. For most people, like first or second year residency.
Or is step 2?
Step 2 is in between.
It's third and fourth year.
Third and no. It's
but they changed. It's no.
Step 1 is after first year, right?
Because it's like in August or September.
So step 1 is after first year.
No, step 1 is after second year. I thought. Yeah, it's after second year.
Okay, then so step 3 is after
third year. Yeah.
So it's right at the end / the beginning. Ooh, that was so long ago.
I know.
So,
I'm not even trying to remember that anymore.
In fact, you took your step exam. That's what I wanted to tell you. You took your step exam right after you had her. Because I saw you at the testing center.
That's right. I remember. You went into labor. Was that what happened? You went into labor the day you were supposed to, and she thought it was just stress from the. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you tell your story. Go ahead.
Because I did not hear this story.
Yeah.
So interestingly, I was supposed to take step 2 the day that I had my baby. Mm-hmm. So August 15th.
Okay.
Is the day that I was scheduled to take my exam. And the night before, I was up, had taken a bath, getting ready to go to bed, and I felt a little bit of cramping, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm just stressed, maybe I'm just tired. But throughout the night, the cramping got progressively worse. I'm waking my husband up, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I think we need to go to the hospital. So about 9 o'clock in the morning, the day I was supposed to be sitting, I was holding my baby. So I said I still need to tell her about that to this day. But it was a very interesting time because I had to get an excuse from my doctor because STEP is a pretty serious test.
Right.
You pay that money for it, and there's really, unless you have a medical emergency or a medical excuse. I did have a baby counselor's day. So I had to get like a letter from my OBGYN saying that I was in the hospital and everything and go through this whole process about getting that rescheduled. But then that meant for me studying at home with a newborn baby. Right. I can't remember. I think I maybe rescheduled it for
like
about a month
later.
or so out.
Yeah.
And so me and my baby were there studying, and we got it done, knocked it out about a month later.
Okay, because I remember having to bring in an excuse. You talked about that. On my way to take the practice exam, it's the test teachers have to take to get certified. Driving.
I know what that is. My brother is a principal.
I'm just for my listeners. So I'm driving. I'm driving to take the test, and so up here it is Hines. So I was going to like Hines and Utica or Hines and Raymond. I can't even remember. And I'm driving, and her parents had gifted us a car. It was an older
Why you gonna talk about
Altima.
parents?
I'm just throwing. It was an older Altima, and like the night before, the tire was flat on the driver's side rear tire was flat, so I aired it up. So I'm 3 minutes out on the GPS from the testing site, and I hear boop.
Oh my
I was like, man, what was that? So I take my foot off the accelerator, and before I even take my foot off the accelerator, the odometer or speedometer drops down to from like 60 to 30.
Oh goodness.
I'm like, bruh, come on, man. This can't be happening. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, just take your foot off the gas and coast in. You're 3 minutes out. Next thing I know, I hear a and I look out the window, and the front tire on the driver's side is rolling next to me while I'm driving. And I'm like, this can't be real. And I'm like, bruh. And it's a 2-lane road, mind you. And there's nobody else on the road. And I just veer into the ditch. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, bro, what the world? So I call up the official people. And it's some foreigner dude talking to me. He's like, well, if you get it replaced, you're good, baby. Come on. If you get it, if you gonna have to redo, or you have to send in an excuse, this, and this. I'm like, bruh, I'm literally just sitting here in a ditch. Let me talk to you later. So I hang up, and I'm like, all right, let me call up the people at Hines, and I tell them what's happening, and they're like, well, there's a window for this test site. As long as you're here within 3 hours of that testing window, you can take the test. Right. So, it's usually, they tell you 10 minutes, but it's usually, like she said, you got a 3-hour window.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
So I looked on the GPS, and it said 3-minute, drive, 30-minute walk, because it was like a mile or 2 miles or however long. So I just got out the car and walked the rest of the way. Put the tire in the car and walked the rest of the way. And I get there, and the lady's like, "You him?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am, that's me." I was sweating and stuff. Took it. Everything worked out well.
Of course, I'm him. Who else would come in?
I passed the test and whatnot, and then I had to take practice 2, which is the day I saw you, and I was like, "Hey, Gabby," and then you came in. I was like, "Yeah, you just had your baby." So I just want to throw that out there. So how was year 4 with the baby though?
I think 4th year is probably the best time to have a baby.
Okay.
You have the most time. You're the least stressed, and so it was pretty good actually.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to step away real quick and check on that infant we got upstairs. Y'all just keep talking to each other. So let's gear the conversation towards what was it like for you having a baby during residency, the baby number 2?
That's exactly what I was just about to say.
All right.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Okay. Are we supposed to just start talking about? Oh, okay. So I had the first baby right after the first year of residency, I would say. And why am I looking over at nothing? Okay, so after first year of residency, and actually, I think that's a decent time to do it. To have a baby.
First year of residency?
Well, no. After the first year. So what happened?
7 years? Something
like that. Okay, there's no perfect time. I'm gonna start by saying that.
Exactly.
So the reason why I started going ahead and having children is because my OB, I told her, I was like, I'm gonna wait till I'm done with residency and have my baby.
You told me that too.
Yes, and she told me, she said, I recommend having kids when you're ready. There is no perfect time. She was told med school isn't a good time to have kids because you're so busy. Residency isn't a good time because you got more responsibility. And then by the time when she finished residency, she was trying to get her career going, and that wasn't a good time. She looked up, she was 38 having her first kid.
Right.
She said, look, life is not going to put itself on pause. You can't put your home life on pause just for your career. If you're ready to have kids, do that. And I started at like age 32 because I was like,
can I pause you? Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what I told you about having kids?
No, I can't.
You forgot what I told you?
What'd you say? Do it?
I literally told you the same thing, and you give her all the credit and not me.
You know, you sound like my sisters. Anytime somebody says something,
okay, baby. I literally told you
probably,
that.
You were right. I'm not saying you did. I don't remember. It just stuck because I was there in her office, and that's when I was like really trying to.
Baby number 2.
No, it was baby. It was baby number 1.
I think I told you that before you talked to her.
You probably did. I didn't say you didn't. I believe you. But and then so it truly is a hard, like first year is hard because everything is so new. And like I said, like from going from med school where you're focused on presenting to like, okay, I actually need to make sure I know how to treat this. I'm treating that person. I'm not reading what the resident did. I am the resident.
Right.
So that is a hard time to do it. The key, I think, that made the difference was the support. So Corian being a school teacher worked out well because residency hours are crazy, and you can't predict call schedule all the time. Things change because you could be the backup call person or something like that. Right. So and it worked out fine for me. I think that because my pregnancy also went well. That's another thing you can't predict. Some people don't do well with their pregnancy.
Exactly.
And I think baby number 1 was easier than baby number 2. Baby number 2 I had during my 4th year. And that was just a little harder because I was still working on, well, I knew where I wanted to go, but the pregnancy was a little tougher too. I got very swollen and she was due in the summertime.
I thought you had preeclampsia.
Right. And I don't remember if I called, no, I called like the hotline first, my OBG after hour. It was getting headaches and dizzy and just tired. Yeah. Whereas with the first one, I had the ankle swelling. That was cute. Or, you know, remember I sent y'all a picture of the ankle? So totally different. But anyways, for anybody to think about having kids, support is the main thing. It doesn't matter when the extra support from family is what's going to make the difference.
So I had a child in medical school and I had a child in residency. I definitely think having a child in medical school was easier and the timing was perfect. It was right, during 4th year, which is the best year of medical school. And my second child, I'm like you now, I'm like, was it after 2nd year? I think it was between 2nd year and 3rd year. So you go, you do your 1st year, you kind of get your bearings and see how it is and make sure everything's good. And then after you get 1st year down, then if you want to start thinking about it, you can. You do have interviews though. And so sometimes the thought is, well, do you want to be pregnant during your interview? Which it has its pros and cons. I do think that if you plan to have kids, you want to have a family, and you are planning to be a mother, you should want to work in an environment that is family friendly and who allows you to put your family first. Same thing with being pregnant in medical school. We have to interview kind of, what's that, the end of
4th
third?
year?
It's end of 4th year?
Yeah.
No, you're talking about interview for residency?
Yeah.
3rd year.
I feel like it was 3rd year.
Really?
You have to, 4th. But by the time you go into 4th, I'm lying. I don't remember.
No way.
No, because you match in March, so 3rd year starts in September.
Is it beginning
some
of 4th
year, something like that.
So in the 3rd year, beginning of 4th year? Okay.
Something like that. But that was the other question that people
It's
have. Like, do you want to
year.
be pregnant on residency interviews?
Yeah.
Wait, did I say that right? Do you want to be pregnant on residency interviews or whatever? Same thing. You want to go to a place that's family friendly. So, I mean, if you're pregnant, it is what it is.
It is what it is. You
Because
can't help
again, like you said, there is no perfect time to have a baby in the medical field.
True. I mean, in life.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's true.
It is what it is. I remember her at the end of her rotation or graduation for Med Peds, Dr. Henson, made a joke. He was like, "Yeah, Jasmine, she's been pregnant the whole residency."
It felt like it because it's almost a year long and it's 4-year residency. I got pregnant after the 1st year and then during the 4th year, it felt like the whole time. Yeah.
That's true.
All right, so before we wrap this up, let's just go ahead and start talking about going into your. How did you get your jobs? Basically, like you've been on a lot of interviews at this point. You had to go. I mean, skipping undergrad, we had to go one for med school. Had to do one for residency. Now you're doing one for your career, your actual job. What's that like?
Lots of fun.
Okay.
these were the best interviews.
Yeah, because
I would say.
you know they want you.
Yeah,
like you're being interviewed by places.
Yes, you're done with all your schooling. You have your degree, and people need healthcare providers everywhere. So you go, you get to know them. They get to know you. You've already sent in your CV, so they already know, what your credentials are and everything. So it's really a matter of just making sure that you're a good fit to work with the people that you're going to work with.
How so?
Like socially.
Okay.
Much.
Oh,
like
gotcha. So you just check. Is it more of you're interviewing them or they're interviewing you? How is that?
It's almost like they're taking you out on a date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they literally take you to food,
they go. They wine you,
view the town, all that stuff.
Yeah, they give you go out. Sometimes they'll pay for your housing, pay for your travel, even to get you there. You go. Usually, it's very informal. You go eat, and they get to know you, your family. They're not asking you where do you see yourself in the next 5 years. They might ask you some questions about like, well, did you have experience doing this? For example, as an OBGYN resident, some programs you train to do circumcisions for babies, and some programs you do surgeries on the robot. So they want to know, did you have any robot experience, or did you have experience doing circumcision? So just small things like that, but nothing super, super formal.
Okay. All right. So, same for you?
Yeah, pretty much, yep.
And I say, how we talk. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
No, I was just thinking about in terms of why I chose where I chose, which obviously you know why. Ocean Springs is right by where we grew up, Biloxi.
I'll say you have the most leverage at this point in your life.
Gotcha.
Because we talked about getting into medical school, we talked about match day and all of that. So now you have the most leverage. You can truly pick where you want to go. So
gotcha.
That's the good thing about that.
All right. So before we wrap up, Dr. Alexander, I got one question for you. What is a doula?
What is a doula?
Yes.
I think of the most simple way to explain what a doula is. A doula is a birth coach. So I think in some cultures, your doula might be your grandmother or your great grandmother. Like back in the day, you watch movies and things like that, and there was always this lady.
And she put the towel on their head. Yeah,
yeah, the one that takes care of the mom during their pregnancy and during their labor. So that's pretty much what doula is. Okay,
all right, makes sense because I see it all the time. And I'm like, I have no idea what this is.
You were mine for COVID. We had to put you as because they weren't allowing. They didn't allow any visitors, and so it obviously was hospital dependent or OB dependent. And she said your husband could be your doula.
Oh, I thought I was just okay. I thought
so
I was
you
just.
were a doula.
Look at me. I didn't even know it.
Right.
Yeah. Let me put that on my resume. I'm a doula. Victoria, you will see this. Victoria Hart. You know who I'm talking about. All right. So before we get up out of here, just y'all have any projects coming up or anything like that? Anything you want to share?
Projects.
Are you working on anything? Research, anything like that? Anything y'all want to share? Or what's the most common thing you see in your practices or anything like that?
I don't know if I have any upcoming projects. Some of my passions that I guess aspire to eventually do is wellness activities. So I enjoy like health challenges. So like one thing that I like about Singing River, who I work for, is they'll have like steps challenge, like how many steps you can take in a month, or some type of weight loss challenge. And I want to help fine tune that. It's a little harder now because the kids are so young, so I don't have a chance to focus on outside projects other than like kind of just day to day. I'm still getting my feet wet. I've only been practicing for a year, but that's what I hope to do later down the road is some more stuff with wellness.
Okay.
I don't have any projects for the immediate time. The biggest thing I'm working on right now is getting ready for board. So lots of testing throughout undergrad, medical school, residency, and you think you're done, right? You finish residency, but you still have boards to take. But this is the last one, and then after we do this one, this is a pretty big one where you become board certified. But after that, you kind of have to do maintenance of certification.
Yes, CEUs, right? Continuing education credit or units.
We call it CMEs, but same thing.
Okay.
So
it's the teacher in me, you know, because your brother's a principal, Okay.
Same thing.
All right. So before we get y'all mind shouting out your Instagrams or any other social media or anything like that?
That's true. I don't mind. So my Instagram is at sweetiepie. Yep _ yep. I don't know. I came with it years ago, and I don't remember why. There was a reason, but anyways, that's what it is. And then what else? That's it. Other than that, then Facebook is just my name, Jasmine Padgett. I don't use Snapchat, even though I still have an account. Don't use.
So can we just clarify your Instagram name again? What is it?
I don't. It's like at sweetiepie _ yep. Is that right?
Yep.
See?
That's it.
Yeah.
And for my social media, you can find me on Facebook at my name, Gabrielle Alexander. And for Instagram, TikTok, it's Gab So Fab.
You have TikTok?
Yeah, girl.
I feel like.
Is that your Instagram?
Actually, is my TikTok Gab So
I
Fab?
thought that was your Instagram.
That is my Instagram. What's my TikTok?
I don't have a TikTok, so I wouldn't know.
See, I feel like I just couldn't. I'm like, there's too many social media platforms.
TikTok is,
What is it? Oh, look at that. My TikTok is at drg.md.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
Good to know.
Good to know. Hey, we gonna run these numbers up, y'all. Hey, that's it. I appreciate y'all ladies for coming on. It wasn't that bad, was it?
No.
See, we sitting here at the time limit, and we could have knocked this out years ago. But ain't no hard feelings.
And
hey,
whose fault is it? No,
probably y'all's. But
We can, I'm thinking about some future topics already.
okay, all right. So, would you be down for future topics?
No, this was terrible. No, I'm just
Perfect.
kidding. Obviously,
Well,
I would be more than happy.
One of the things that I want to talk about in the future would be how it is to be a mother in medicine.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah,
I think that's a big one.
Okay. We could do that interview tomorrow. I'm here for.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I have to part my hair on the other side. And
Change your shirt.
Yeah, change.
All right, hey, so this has been another episode of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Padgett, and thank you all for listening and watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for listening to this podcast, however you consume your podcasts. And cut.
Okay. You can press pause on the audio.